Hey y'all, it's Victoria from Super Geeked and Merry Kitschmas! Yep, it's that time of year, and this year's going to be a little different. Last year I did the 12 days of Merry Kitschmas where I talked about collectible vintage Christmas decorations that I love. I gave you a history on those Christmas decorations, and I share with you pieces from my personal collection. This year, you'll still get to see my collection. It's grown over the last year, but this year is going to be a little bit of a different format. So I've got some fun videos planned for you, and today we're going to talk about the most collectible and desirable vintage Christmas decorations. This is a great video to intro this year because a lot of my friends here on my YouTube channel are resellers. So they may be wondering, if I want to get into the vintage Christmas market, what should I be looking for? And this video should be helpful. So without further ado, let's get into it and to see which of these collectibles that collectors are paying top dollar to add to their own collections. Okay, y'all, so we're going to start with the ceramic Christmas trees. I'm sure most of you have seen these. You either own one, someone in your family owns one, or maybe you've seen the modern version, but we're going to talk about the ones you want to really be looking for, those special gems that are going to complete your collection, or if you're a reseller or dealer that you want to be on the lookout for when you're at estate sales and garage sales and thrift stores and places like that, because these are the ones that are going to bring you top dollar. So we're going to start with the different mold companies. The two most sought after mold companies that I generally am looking for is either Knoll or Atlantic. There are fans of these specific companies that are looking for these specific molds. Remember, a lot of these molds were available at ceramic shops. If you watched my Merry Kitschmas series last year and watched my ceramic Christmas tree video, then you know these were popular for generations. And you could go to ceramic stores and create your own, or you could purchase them already made from ceramic stores or different gift shops or stores where they were pre-done for you. So, but it was a nice family tradition that people would get together and make these trees. The Knoll mold that you see here and here, this is actually similar if you look at the shape. These are highly collectible. Now, why did this one sell for more? This one sold for more because it's white. And the white's going to be more rare than the green one. So that's something that you can look for. So let's talk about this specific tree here, the Knoll. And what makes this tree special is the color, the amount of lights, and as you can see, the lights are not straight on. They kind of go in different directions, which makes it very interesting. But also, this is a very large ceramic tree. So this specific mold from Knoll was produced into, I believe, the 80s, and this piece, this top piece here, is the size of a normal ceramic Christmas tree, a large one. And then below you'll see there's an extra ring here. That's a secondary ring, a third ring, and a fourth ring. So this makes this tree extremely large. They come apart in these pieces to make it easily transportable or stored. Overall, a lovely tree that is very sought after because of its size. This is the other of the Knoll tree. So this one is dated 1988. So as you can see, this is the top part. It was colored in a green, and then it has the 3 additional rings at the bottom with the same base. So this is the same mold. It's just in a different color. So the white's going to be a little more sought after. Okay. Next up, we have the Atlantic mold. Atlantic has a big following. So if you find an Atlantic mold, you can usually get really good money for it. This is a special rare Atlantic mold tree. So this is the Atlantic mold 300 light Christmas tree. As you can see, it's got a slimmer silhouette than the Knoll mold. And then here are some here in white and green, and you can see they all sell for a lot of money. But these are really cool because they are music boxes. So they do have a music box at the base. Again, this has 2 tiers. Very cool light at the top. This is tier 1 and then tier 2. So it comes in 2 pieces, and then of course the base. And here's a great picture of it apart. So here's the base where you put your light bulb. Here is the bottom part and then the top. Here is where you can see that it says Atlantic mold. So definitely the Atlantic mold and the knoll molds, here's another of the knoll, are really sought after. My favorite of all ceramic trees, and that's on my bolo list, is this tree here. This is called the lava tree, and it's based on the shape, very mid-century modern. It generally has these different kind of light bulbs that are more pointed to accent the shape of the tree. But this is a tree that I would love to own that is on my find list. So if you find a lava tree while you're out, hit your girl up because I am definitely looking for one. This is a beautiful example of it. They come in all different colors. This one sold for $599 on eBay with $55 shipping. So here are some examples of the sold prices on eBay in recent months for the lava tree. They don't sell for as much as the knoll and the Atlantic trees, but to me, they're a lot more mid-century modern. I would love to have one. They're on my bolo list. I would actually love to own a pink one. And they're all painted sort of different. Some of them are just solid, like a solid pink. Some of them have this, cascading color up the lava tree. But it just depends on how the person painted it. They have them in blue and in green. Very cool, but this is my dream tree, is a lava tree. So I'm definitely on the lookout for one. I'm one of those people that would rather find one out in the wild while I'm out hunting versus buying one online. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it's also about the thrill of the hunt. And a lot of times you're going to get one for a better price if you find it locally versus purchasing online. That coming from a reseller. Some other mold companies that can fetch you in the hundreds of dollars is Holland. Here's an example of a Holland tree here. But your most valuable trees are going to be the ones with the most lights, have a distinct size to them, have things like a music box attached to the base, and have these certain brands like Atlantic or Knoll or Holland, the very collectible molds. So those are the things you can be looking for. So shape and size, the brand of the mold, and novelty features, and a lot of lights. And the great thing about ceramic trees is they have modern versions today too that tells you that even today, people love the ceramic Christmas tree. So while you're out hunting, don't pass them up because they sell for a pretty penny and they are worth the pickup. I guarantee it. Speaking of trees, I bet you could have guessed that the next thing I was going to talk about for you to be on the lookout for while you're out hunting is the aluminum Christmas tree. If you follow me on Instagram, you have seen my many pictures of my aluminum Christmas trees. My friends pick on me about in December, all that they see in my feed is my fancy aluminum Christmas tree. And I'm okay with that. I enjoy showing it off because it brings me a lot of joy. So I'm going to help you. If you find an aluminum Christmas tree in the wild, unless the thing is falling completely apart, it's probably a good idea to pick it up. They become rarer and rarer as the years go on. I am very particular with mine and very careful, but the aluminum starts to come apart. They are very old. They're very delicate. No matter how well you take care of them, you lose a little bit of your tree every year. So, and it breaks my heart every time I see a little needle on the floor. But I'm going to help you find the most valuable ones. And as you can see, this is on eBay. The solds can go into close to $5,000 depending on the tree. So we're going to talk about what the rarest is, what to look for. Again, last year in my Merry Kitschmas series, I did a video on the history of the aluminum Christmas tree, where it came from, and what little cartoon character, Charlie Brown, killed the aluminum Christmas tree. So if you're interested in hearing the story about the aluminum Christmas tree, go check out my Merry Kitschmas playlist, and you can watch the history of the aluminum Christmas tree from last year. I also talk about comps in there and give more detail about different trees. This is going to be a little bit of an overview. So the first thing we're going to talk about before we get into what the most valuable is the types of branches. Because as you can see, as I'm scrolling here on eBay, there are a lot of different types of aluminum Christmas trees. So you want to have a little bit of knowledge when you're listing these, because there's going to be a difference between a tree that's worth $300 versus a tree that's worth close to $5,000. So first up is the type of branches. This tree is the basic, most readily available type of aluminum Christmas tree, and this is the sparkler. So as you can see, the branches on all aluminum Christmas trees are individually put in to a hole on a post. The post is usually wooden. And this one has a wood base. A lot of them have an actual metal base that is a tripod. Here's another one with the color wheel on, which we'll talk about later. This is a fuller tree, but as you can see, the branches here, the sparkler shape. Here's another one that's green, again, so you can see the shape of the sparkler. Okay, the next type of branch we're going to talk about is actually the tree that I own. This is called the pom-pom. As you can see, it sort of flares out at the end. You can kind of see it from the side here. And these are stored in a way that it protects this pom-pom look. This tree looks very much like my tree in fullness. And here's another one that's a lot fuller. It looks to be probably a 7-foot tree. It's gold, and this is the pom-pom branch. So you can see the shape. So far we have the sparkler and the pom-pom. The tree will go up in value based on the branch. So we start with the base, which is the sparkler. It'll go up to the pom-pom. And then we have what we call the trumpet. Now the trumpet looks similar, but as you can see, as you look at this one, it curves over even more. It looks like someone took their hand, the palm of their hand, and pressed down on the pom-pom and made it flatter so that you have a bigger sort of like look of a trumpet. Here's a close-up that this person took. And obviously this is a gold tree, but you can see this trumpet tree sold for $1,200. So trumpet trees are a little more rare, and usually if you do find them, they may have had some damage to the trumpet part because of the way it's shaped. So this is definitely a sought after. Now I'm going to show you one that's super rare. Doubt you'll ever see this, but just in case. This tree is actually called the Arctic Star. So this is the trumpet. It looks like it was inverted and pushed all the way inside out. And this tree is ultra rare. So if you do find this tree, you're going to get probably $1,500 and up for this tree. So again, a very interesting, rare tree. And this is an old picture of my tree, but you can see the pom-pom shape. And the reason why I'm showing this is my tree is a little fuller, but it's not the fullest. So you're also going to go up in price based on the fullness of the branches. So mine is fuller than a basic tree. And so it's going to be more valuable than the standard sparkler that has less branches. Mine is an evergreen pom-pom. So this is just it from 1 year. Then you have these trees like this one. This was a later version of the aluminum Christmas tree. As you can see, it's probably 7 to 8 feet, which was one of the highest that was ever made. This would be higher on the value scale because it is so full. But no matter if you find an aluminum Christmas tree that's not as full or extremely full, here's one that's really full. It's going to depend on some other things too. One of those is color. So as you can see, the two highest comps here on eBay are pink trees. The pink trees are the most sought after trees by collectors. They're not ultra rare. I wouldn't consider them ultra rare. They're harder to find, but they are just very sought after by collectors of mid-century modern decor. The most readily available are going to be silver trees. So that's going to be, but as you can see, it can still sell for a lot. Okay, here's some silver trees here. Silver is the most common, and then you have green. Here's a green one here. So green, gold, and peacock blue. Those three colors are the next. Then you have pink, which is the most rare and the most sought after. But just scrolling here through the comps, you can see that despite the different colors, you're going to see mostly pink at the top, but you can still have silver and gold in these $1,000 areas. We're going to get into accessories for these trees later. Here's some more green, some pink. So definitely, if you see an aluminum Christmas tree, even if it's not a tall Christmas tree, y'all, this is a 2-foot gold tree, okay? $845. I have a 2-foot tree that someone got me at a garage sale for $20. Now we're going to talk about rare trees. So as you can see from this tree here, this tree is silver, but it has gold at the tips. Isn't that neat? There are also some that, like this, that are silver with red and green. And then check out this. These are green pom-poms with red balls in the middle. So these sorts of quirky things about an aluminum Christmas tree that you might find are going to make them more valuable. And then they have guys like this. Look how tiny. This is actually an aluminum Christmas tree made to hang on your wall. These sell for at least $100, and they're tiny. They're super rare and different, and because of that, you can get a lot of money for these tiny little wall hangings. Also, ultra rare is the peacock tree. This tree is flat. It has a central base, and the branches go around flat. So if you find a peacock tree, you are super lucky because they're ultra rare. So I hope that gives you a little information about the aluminum Christmas tree and what you can be looking for. Again, my recommendation is if you find an aluminum Christmas tree, unless the thing's fallen apart, I would grab it. And these delicate trees are super collectible. So pick them up. All right, to finish out this video, if you haven't already noticed, we have a theme today. It is Christmas trees. So we've covered the ceramic Christmas tree, the aluminum Christmas tree. Now we're going to cover accessories for the aluminum Christmas tree. Because of the way the aluminum Christmas trees are made, you cannot put standard electrical lights on them. And so, thus came the color wheel. Now, some aluminum Christmas trees had a base that came with the tree. It was a tree stand, and it actually rotated the tree. The majority of the trees did not have a rotating base. So they would have a color wheel that's similar to this. It plugs in, it had a socket for a light bulb, and it had a motor that caused the light source, the lens, to rotate, and it would change between 4 primary colors: red, blue, yellow, and green. The most sought after is actually the Evergleam, which is the same aluminum Christmas tree that I own, and they created this light that is aluminum, and it has a motor inside of a canister. It rotates your entire tree. You put the shaft of the tree into here, you secure it, and then it rotates your tree, and then in the interior, the light shines through, and these are the lenses. I've seen them sell for close to $1,000. Some of these are a little lower, around the $500 mark, but these are what will light the aluminum Christmas tree. So the people who finally find their coveted aluminum Christmas tree, a lot of times they don't come with a color wheel, so they're trying to find one. Now there are different types of color wheels. So I just showed you the Evergleam. They have this style that's sort of a cylinder, and you can see it projects This is a smaller one, but the majority of them have this sort of look where there's 4 panels, they attach with metal pieces, and then there's a metal piece that screws on right here in the middle, and then the light is behind us and this wheel just rotates. But any type of color wheel is going to be interesting, and the more sort of atomic looking or mid-century looking, the more sought after it's going to be. Some of these are a little bit cheaper, you know, they just have this thin plastic, whereas some of the older ones have a thicker plastic, but the thicker plastic can become brittle. This is an interesting one. I've never seen one like this. Sort of has that stoplight look. This is more of a film, and then some of them, like I said, are the harder plastic. But most all color wheels, you're going to get $50 and above for. I have 2 that are this style with the 4 plates of plastic. So you can see the comps. And I've had one for years and years, and then recently went to an estate sale and picked up a second one. So definitely be looking for color wheels when you're out and about. These are some examples of aluminum Christmas trees that have the actual base that it came with that rotates it itself. But again, it still needs a color wheel just because the base rotates. So you're going to want to be in the market for a color wheel. Here's another of the Evergleams rotating. I thought this one was very interesting. I've never seen one like this, but it's very late 60s, early 70s. Here is a picture of it plugged in and lit. It definitely is that sort of space age look. So very cool. It looks like the brand is Stetson. The latest color wheel I got is a Penetre. This is actually the exact color wheel that I own. Of course, this is new in box, still sealed, but you can see it sold for $165. And these are a bunch of just comps for the Penetre. Now, I only paid $25 for mine, but as you can see, they sell for well over $100. And mine does still have the box. This one's also really cool because it is actually a musical one. So it has this round piece that has a music box in it. And so this one will get you a higher price, of course, because of the novelty of having the music. This is the thin plastic I was talking about. I've never owned one of these, but they are sort of like a shield with the very thin film plastic. But again, $175 is what it sold for. If you see a color wheel, definitely pick it up because collectors of aluminum Christmas trees are definitely going to need one to illuminate their tree. And the last type of tree we're going to talk about is the bottle brush tree. Now, again, in my Merry Kitschmas series last year, that's linked below on my Merry Kitschmas playlist, go check it out. I talk about the history of the bottle brush tree, which, if you didn't watch that, the bottle brush tree actually came from household brushes. And there was a need for artificial trees, and so the creator of these household brushes, including toilet brushes, created bottle brush trees. And the really old ones, as you can see here, can sell well over $500. These are pink ones, but here is another vintage, very old one. Here's a blue one. And then also, when you're looking for vintage bottle brush trees, here's that pink one. You're gonna really be able to tell. I mean, it looks like someone took their brush, their toilet brush, and cut it off and made it into a tree. And that's how you usually can tell, because as we know, the more modern bottle brush trees that you can pick up at big box stores, they're actually shaped like a tree. But these are shaped like a bunch of brushes stuck on, you know, a centerpiece to make it a tree. So that's usually how you can tell the old ones. They usually have some kind of like different kind of flocking too. Here is another one that's shaped more like a tree, but is adorned with all kinds of ornaments and birds. And look at that sold price, $450. There's some other ones just like it down here. You can see this one is a boot with a tree. This one's a little planter. This one is actually topped with a mercury glass bird, which I talked about in my Merry Kitschmas series, and you'll see when you see my vintage Christmas decorations, I have some of those. So bottle brush trees are definitely something you should be looking at. I know they're a dime a dozen nowadays, but if you can find these really old ones, as you can see, a lot of these are fetching close to $200 or over $200. So bottle brush trees are definitely something to look for. Last thing I'm going to show you are these little figurines, because in the next video, yes, there's going to be a part 2 to this. I'm going to talk about Holt Howard and their figurines and some other special pieces that are very sought after by mid-century collectors. But since we're talking about bottle brush trees, these little ladies, as you can see, are holding bottle brush trees. These are little miniature 1961 Holt Howard figurines with these delicate little trees. You can see from this photo the date, 1961, and they sold for over $200. So I thought this was a good segue to our next video, because it has the bottle brush trees and the sweet little Holt Howard figurines that I'll talk about in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and don't forget to check out the Merry Kitschmas playlist that is below, where you can find out all kinds of interesting facts about collectible vintage Christmas decorations. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out last year's Merry Kitschmas videos. They still are very relevant. They give a deep dive on the history of each of these collectibles. So there may be information in those videos that were not in this one. So I highly recommend checking them out. They're all linked below in the Merry Kitschmas playlist. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to share with you the next Merry Kitschmas video coming out soon. Bye, y'all.